All right, we're back and continuing on with our edits here. So pretty much the same as what we've done before, just working through each of these. And cleaning up some of this. Go. See the skin impressions on that shot, so there's really nothing to clean up bottom there. There's some harsh. I probably in retrospect probably should have thrown a diffuser up there. Or something. I didn't, for this shoot, I don't really like to keep a C-stand and sandbags for the diffuser, but I didn't have that in the car for this shoot, so weren't able to put that diffuser up, so that's why you get some harsh light on those. I mean, obviously it's some of the shots, as I've mentioned already, I was holding the diffuser while taking pictures on some of the shots. But for some of them, depending on where the sun's coming from, like that last kind of batch where some of them were a little harsh light, diffuser obviously would fix that, but I didn't have the stand to set up for that, so that's fine. Again, for a lot of these, every single picture isn't going to get used. So if there's pictures that at the end we're like, you know what, actually, nah, I'm not going to use that one. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to use it. Something too is, I feel like I keep going back to, what I've seen a lot of other photographers do, not just ones I've seen online, but ones I've known in person as well, is they'll spend so much time to get every single picture to be perfect. It has to be absolutely perfect. And it's impossible. I mean, it's impossible because your definition of perfect is different than my definition of perfect. And to be quite honest, my definition of a perfect image has imperfections in it because people have imperfections. If you want it to be absolutely perfect these days, just, have AI generate something and, there would be no imperfections. But people have imperfections, and I think that's part of the creative side and part of the natural elements is to include those. The human side, I guess. And that's something I think that is like wax philosophical for a moment. I think as more and more AI generated images are thrown in there, or are generated and created and used, I don't know that in the shadow you're really going to see, you only see that blemish there. As more and more AI images get generated and get used and so on, I think something that's going to set photography apart is the human side, and that is the imperfections, that is the organicness, the non-mechanical elements to it, to make things not perfect, because humans are not perfect. And so there's going to be those imperfections. There's going to be things that I think as photographers we can capture the human side. I think so. A great example of this is film photography. When digital cameras started getting to be more popular, there were so many people that were just like, oh, we're never going to use digital, never going to switch to digital, never going to do it. You know, film is where it's at. It's film, only film. And yeah, I'm never going to bother with that one, because I don't think you can't see anything. It's a further away shot, but we'll just save it just to update the date modified. Yeah, same with some of these. Like we may not notice, you rotate, may not notice a lot of the blemishes in these dark shots. But I do want to, let's sharpen it just a little bit and do some denoise. I think, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. So let me know in the comments. With the advent of AI, I think photography is going to be similar. The differences in photography are going to be similar to what happened with let me do something. I'm going to cancel out of this and duplicate this. So I have the edited version, and then this is going to be add more. Okay, so let's come back here and do that again. I think the differences between what we do as photographers and the creativity we put into it, our creative vision, what we're doing, is going to be similar to the differences between when film and when film started to transition into digital, because so many people are like, oh, it's digital, it's not the same. Or even like when Photoshop became a thing, people are like, you're never gonna know when something has been edited. And sure, there are times where you can't tell if something's been edited, if it's been edited really well. But I'm gonna have it just be in this, because I want some of the blur and such to be as, mostly just on her face, and then have it be blurry, get a little more blurry as it goes down. So that's kind of the thought there. I think it's going to be kind of similar to that, to what happened with film and digital, where for so long people were trying to create images, use Photoshop and such to create images that have absolutely no imperfections whatsoever. And I think with AI, you can do that. I mean, even before AI, you could do that. So 3D modeling, you look at, 3D models and such, it's computer generated. So it's possible to have absolutely no imperfections. Because you have to create the imperfections in there. If you wanted to have blemishes on somebody or a birthmark on somebody or something like that, like you'd have to go in there and create that, because the computer's not going to create it automatically. Let's do a little bit, we'll switch this one. That one's okay. Let's do a little bit of denoise on this one. And I think that's something that's It's too much. I think that's something that's really only going to help make a difference between an actual real photograph that we've taken versus something that is AI generated. Because what's the difference there? The difference is us, the humans, and the creativity that we put into it. And if you try to make it look more like it's been generated by AI, not just generate it with AI, or generate it instead of, making it absolutely perfect. If you're trying to make it absolutely perfect, you can make it absolutely perfect, but, why? Time. Anyway, I'm just something, of course, we'll see how it all shakes out, but I think the imperfections are what make us human. And AI is great at generating images. You can do a little bit of denoise on this. It's great at generating images that are... That's way too much. That are perfect, that have no imperfections. And there's a time and place for that. That's a little better, just a little bit less. There's a time and place for that, but I guess kind of for all of that, as I'm talking, as I'm editing, so it's not a thought out script, obviously, that I'm just kind of coming up with this. And I mean, it's something I've thought about, but I haven't really voiced until now. I think you're going to see less and less photographers trying to make images perfect is where I'm going. So for a long time, people were trying to make perfect skin tones, perfect everything, and I talked about that before. I'm not a big fan of that personally. I think it starts to look way too plastic and not perfect and not realistic, which is exactly what you get with a lot of AI generated images. They're plastic and perfect, and there's no imperfections. There's no, none of those. And so these, we can pretty much leave them. There's really nothing, can't see anything since these are all shadows. All shadowy purpose there. I'm just making a slight change so that way it will force it to save. That's going to update the date modified. So that way we know that we've already looked at that one when we're looking in the file. Just have to pick a point. So yeah, I think you're going to see less of that personally. It's not going to go away entirely. There's still people out there who want to make images where there are absolutely no imperfection in the skin and everything is perfect, and that's definitely something they can do. That's their creative vision. That's the case, but not in my case. Not my preferred style either. That's not. I don't find that to be and just get this a little bit here. I don't want to lose some of that texture in there. I just want to clean up a little bit of the blemishes. But again, not everything, because as I'm just saying, not making everything perfect. If I'm making it perfect, there's always a lot of things that we can do remove every single bit of texture on the skin. Okay, and then up to here. So I think this will be our last batch of images to edit here. I think so. And then I think we'll have them all edited. And then we'll need to take them back into Lightroom and do our cropping. Okay, here we go. Another batch. I'm curious, throw in the comments, what's your preferred, I'm drinking coffee here, but what's your preferred drink or snack or whatever while you're editing? Do you have a preference, or is it just kind of whatever you're feeling at the time? It's not definitely always coffee for me, but that's what I felt like now. Of course, a lot of it depends on the time of day too. It's mid-afternoon now, but too much later. This will probably be the last cup of coffee for the day. Don't want to go too long. Ruin my sleep schedule. But yeah, I don't think there's any. There's this little impression here. I think is from another outfit. It wasn't in any of the other shots, so I'm guessing it's from, an outfit like we've seen some of the stuff. Or in some of the other ones. Yeah, I'm curious too. I mean, yeah, again, everybody has differences. There's nothing wrong. So, what do you have a preferred drink while you're editing? Coffee or tea or water or beer or wine or whatever that may be. Also, do you have a preferred thing that you do while you edit? Do you do anything? I know some people that they just want to focus strictly on editing, but some people prefer to watch TV, movie, listen to. You can see I've got headset in because I do prefer to listen to music while I'm editing, or a podcast or something like that. Right now I'm listening to music because I'm also talking and I can't. If I wasn't recording this, I'd listen to a podcast or audiobook or something. Because it can get to be pretty monotonous. A lot of this stuff, we're doing a lot of the same things. Or, throw a YouTube video on the background, that kind of thing. Or maybe, hey, maybe you're watching this while you're editing. You're doing your own edits and you're watching me do edits and I'm keeping you company. In which case, thanks. I appreciate that. Appreciate any time I'm able to help out, even if that's just keeping you company while you're editing. We're both editing. There we go. That's why I like to think of it that way. I think these last bits, not really a lot. to edit on these, just the typical on the face. There's really no impressions except for this. Go. Something I'm curious about too. Again, everybody's different. I think one of the reasons I kind of started this channel was I got to do the work anyway to get these edited, so might as well share my process. Hopefully, you learn something from it, and if obviously everybody's different, so you're not going to edit the same way that I am. That's fine. But also I kind of wanted to grow a community of photographers that are kind of like me, where not trying to make every single image to be that perfect AI, almost no, absolutely nothing wrong with the image, but to see what sort of creative visions that different people have for how to keep it real, and not over edit the images. Because I think every scenario calls for something different. There are definitely times where we need to do more editing than others, and I think it's okay. I'm not opposed to editing images. I just don't like to over edit the images. As I said before, my background in visual effects. And then when I first started getting back into portrait photography from shifting out from video, I started doing a lot of visual effects, like surreal edits and Photoshop edits and composites and things like that. And it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. I've got tutorials around that too, and how I've done a lot of that. And those are a lot of fun. I enjoy doing those. And I think that's kind of one of those places where it's a piece of art that you're doing, and it's going to require, that piece of art requires more editing. It's just how it is. It's just you're trying to create a vision there. But I think that's different than trying to tell this story of a moment, or in a lot of other images, a lot of other photos, or images for a particular purpose, like for these, for the brand, is the primary purpose for these, so for client work, different than telling a story, family photos of a memory, a particular moment. They all have different purposes. There's one thing I love about photography is that it is so versatile, and the purpose that it has, as well as how you can achieve that purpose. And some of those are going to require more editing than others. But anyway, I think another thing too that I wanted to do with this channel is because there's so much negativity out there. There's so many people, especially when it comes to creative stuff, they're like, oh, you have to do it this way, or that's the right way, or that's the wrong way. And with creative stuff, there's not always a lot of wrong. It's just that you're just doing it differently. And I wanted to help foster that, and have some positivity. And I also recognize that, the types of pictures that I'm editing here are not for everybody, and that's fine too. But, when you have some client work that you got to do. That's how it is. But also, I don't want to have a negative outlook on things, because even if this isn't for you, that's okay. That's perfectly okay. Like I said before, there's photographers out there that try to make everybody's skin to have absolutely nothing, no variation in color, no variation in anything. I've known a lot of photographers that do a lot of body morphing and manipulation and things like that, and liquefy and get just to make people look, I've said this before, like more like AI. I mean, it wasn't always that way before AI became popular, but to make people not have any imperfections. And that's not for me. But that's okay. That's what they want to do. I'm okay with that. But what I want to do here is, try to find other photographers that are like me, that we have a vision of how we want to do things, and that might not align, but that's okay. Like you might edit differently than I do, and that's okay. But I would love to learn how you edit. I will show you how I edit, so maybe you can learn from that, and I can pick up some things from you, and incorporate that into my workflow. You incorporate some of the stuff from me into your workflow, and everybody will get better. And even if it's your version of creativity is not something that I would do. I've had photographers ask this before, because I have been doing it for a long time. Be like, what am I doing wrong here? What's wrong with this? I'm like, well, it's not. I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong. You have a different creative vision. If I were shooting this is how I would do it. Or if I were editing this is how I would do it. And so that's how I always approach giving people constructive criticism or feedback, or, however you want to call it, is if I were editing this photo, this would be how I would do it. That doesn't mean how you're editing it is wrong. It just means that you're doing it differently. And so you're going to come up with a different result. Maybe you like it better. Maybe you don't. Maybe you like the way that I would edit that better. So that's where you start to incorporate it. Incorporate some of that stuff in. Some of that workflow, some of the, however that is. So anyway, that's all that. But okay, so we are done with these edits. Yeah, I think so. Because we started here, right? I think we did, yeah. At 1 o'clock. So now we need to bring these in to Lightroom, and let me do this, because Lightroom, it might not automatically recognize them since we did this. This is something that, again, I prefer Capture One over the way it works. Let me do this. I'm going to create a new folder. And these are the TIFF files. Okay. So I'm going to put the TIFF files in here that we've edited. So these are all the edited ones. And then we'll just import those into our catalog. So some of these, you can see one of two. When you edit in Lightroom, go into Photoshop, and then you save it, it'll automatically recognize that and kind of re-import it into the catalog. But because we went through the image processor, and we batch processed a bunch of those with the action, you can see for a lot of these, it's not recognizing the TIFF file automatically. So we need to import it. But we could import it in there, but I think it'll be easier if I import these and just select this folder, then we just have everything instead of coming in and re-importing all these, right? So we just have all the TIFF files here. Import those. And now it's just a matter of the cropping. So I'm going to straighten this. We're going to do mostly I'm going to do 4x5, I think. You know what? Actually, no. I'm not going to do that. Let's do, I'm going to do what's best for the image. So usually I'll do a 4x5 or 2x3 landscape. But, oops. Yeah, it's R. It's C for crop in Capture One, but it's R in Lightroom. And oops, that's not what I wanted. I want to my angle here, straighten that, and just do the ratio that's best. Don't lock it. There we go. There we go. Kept locking it. Let me do this. If I do Control-Shift-C, check none, I can do the just copy and then paste and see if that'll work for these. Nope. Okay. One benefit to that, though, is that it does unlock it. So it does unlock and set it to custom, the aspect ratio. So it is still saving some time, but I'm still coming in and adjusting the angle just to straighten it. Go. And straighten these. Then give some different options. Again, these are all things that I know can be adjusted after the fact. Like if you are in Instagram in particular, you know, you can crop images as you upload them, which is one reason why sometimes I like to do like I'm doing here, where I'm just going for the a custom look, or a custom ratio, I should say, instead, and let the image, what I think works best. Now, I probably will, let me switch, oops, I hit T instead of R, that angle. So again, just coming in here. And that's probably going to be pretty similar, so we can get that. Yep, that's good. So some of these too, we could also do some keystoning, but the catch to that, is that when you do keystone with somebody in the picture, sometimes that can start to warp them too in ways that are not always good. So I'm not going to bother with that, but okay, so we have this. Let's go ahead and copy that. Paste and angle. Actually, you know what? For these, I remember her talking about wanting to get the top of the picture, top of the building there. So I'm going to make sure to do some where we do have the top of the building. I just remember that from on set when we were taking the pictures that she wanted to make sure that that was in there. So we'll make sure that that's in there in our crop too. Paste, angle, and then adjust. Paste, angle, and adjust. That's pretty repetitive again. That's the name of the game for a lot of these. So lining up. Rule of thirds, always a good idea to be aware of that and use that, or at least know when you're going to break it. So in this case, I'm lining up right here with that shadow, so you don't even see the sun on the ground. That was my thought process there. This I'm going to straighten. Actually, let's straighten based on runner head. Again, these are the kind of things that you could do some keystoning. If there's some issues. For this, let's actually go to a 1-1. I think this would work well as a 1-1. Yeah. So crop or copy that. Paste. Oops. Keep hitting C. Habit from working in Capture One. Oops. And didn't want to do that. Let's do our angle again. There we go. Yeah, so this one's not going to work as 1-1. We could do some 4-5. I'd like to do some different options. These probably will be pretty similar. 4-5 is going to work best. Paste. This one we could even do our custom to get more, and then paste that. Let's just double check. I don't think the angles, yeah, it's not that much different. Those were all pretty well. I wasn't locked down. I didn't have a tripod lockdown, but I didn't really move, so the angles are pretty similar. Let's shift this angle. And this one, we might want to do custom as well. Oops. Okay. So now I'm going to copy that. Paste. Actually, that's not bad. Like just like that. But a hand a little bit more. Go down to the knees. There we go. Paste, and let's check the angle, straighten, This actually, we might do a 4-5 also. Yeah. Some of them you can kind of tell. So you got a little bit of kind of that empty space or, leading lines almost in there. I'm going to take this, copy that. And then, there we go. I do it again. C. I'm used to C for crop instead of R for crop. C, obviously, as you can tell, is for the candidate. I don't like it automatically locks again. Again, getting most of that building in the background. Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-V. F. Again, it's basically this here, so selecting candidate is what we were doing before. When we were looking at, when we were editing. To see the differences. See the angle a little bit, change that. This, we might go for a 4-5. Yeah. Cropping a little bit more. Same with this. Let's actually copy and then paste. So a little closer up. Same with this one. Going to be a little closer up. A little closer up on these. This one, I'm going to have a little bit more room. Actually, we could rotate that too, fix that angle. Here we go. This one, do 2x3 and do it more as a landscape since she's got her eye there, so I'm along that line. And then actually adjust this to straighten it. Go. There we go. Control-Shift-V to paste to get us started. This one, I'm going to go custom again. And then adjust the angle along this line here. This, we could probably do a 4-5 and still get that. Look just a little bit below that line there. And double check the angle, make sure it's straight. And then let's copy that. Keep it the same. And make sure the angle's straight. Make sure I didn't move it all. Again, I'm not locked down. On the image there. Make sure angle. Go. It's always a good idea. You never know. I mean, in camera, of course, they've got the level, digital level. Most cameras, I imagine, do nowadays have that capability. I know mine does. Oops, hit C again. Me shift to a custom to get her feet in there. Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-V. So yeah, you can do the level, of course, and I mean, I recommend obviously keeping an eye on that while you're shooting, but also there's so many other things to keep an eye on, and knowing that you can straighten super easy. Doing that, keeping, I'm going to do, I think this might work 1-1. Nah, let's do 4-5. Making sure that it's perfectly straight in camera, again, is not really a big deal to me. I'm going to copy this. Shift-C, Control-Shift-V, angle. Go. You can tell these are all quite crooked, not straight. That's okay. Again, we can straighten them. See? Perfect. This. Okay, this one. Keep that. Let's straighten, just make sure. There we go. Go, and then we'll copy and paste. I think these are going to be pretty similar. It's pretty similar crop. Let's just double check that. I think it looks pretty straight. Some of these I might need to do. Yeah, I'm going to do a custom to get Oliver in that. And then angle it. Yeah, better. And then let's copy that. So copy, paste. Oops. And double check the angle here. Pretty straight. This one might work as 4-5. Yeah, here we go. It works well. 4-5. And again, we're going to need to adjust the angle. Then we'll copy that, paste. And just double check. Shouldn't be too much different, but yeah, there we go. Something, when I am straightening, so just to let you know, my thought process is at whether or not to do it horizontal or vertical. I think about, let me switch to 4-5. I think about what the, what is closest and where your eye is going to be mostly. And so, you know, for a shot like this, it's going to be more landscape, more horizontal than vertical. So that's why I'm straightening based on this. Actually, this one too, we're going to shift to 16:9. Go. Whereas, you know, some other ones are obviously going to be different. But I try to look at, like, you know, in this case, right? So this stair right here is along the edge. So that's what I'm going to straighten it on, because that's closest to the edge, and so you're going to notice it more. I think you're going to notice it more when it's right next to the edge. This line right here not lining up. So if this lines up and then these don't line up, you assume that these are the other parts of the image are the ones that are different. You know, not every line is going to be perfect, but like this here. So I'm going to go horizontal because it seems to make more sense that these lines line up. Actually, let me do it based on this one here because it's right along the edge. And then you can see, so this makes more sense here. And then it makes sense that these aren't perfect because, but this one is perfect. And so you just assume that works. That's kind of my thought process for determining what to straighten based on. So this one, we could either do this here or this here. I'm going to stick with the staircase. And let's shift this to a 1-1. Or you could do this one. I mean, again, there's different trains of thought on that, but that's kind of my thought process. Because when I look at an image, and if it's something, I can adjust it. Let me adjust this just to show. So if I look at this and see that, oh, this is not straight right here, I just think the whole image is kind of wonky. It's off a little bit. But if that's straight, and then the other lines might not be straight, but it still seems more right in my mind. This is straight, the first line is straight, and then the rest of them not going to be perfectly straight. And okay, but there's at least one that's kind of the prominent, I guess. That's just my thought process. Again, you know, everybody's different, but that's the thought process that I put into it for picking. Let me copy this. It might be faster. Oops, hit the angle. Go right around her eye. But that's this. Adjust the angle here. Again, I'm going to do stairs. Because we expect stairs. That's something, you know, you expect the stairs to be the straight part of the image. So it makes sense that that's the part that we straighten to. And then once I have that, I'm going to copy, paste, and then just double check that. Like this. She's stepping down, get a little leeway there. Paste. This might actually work as 4 or 5. And then double check that angle there. Keep it slight there. No. Perfect. This going to go this way because we can't see the stairs. But these are obviously angled, so we're going to keep that straight. So copy, paste, and then this, we could do that, could do this. I'm going to do this since it's next to her, actually. So we expect her to be straight. And, you know, since she's straight, she's in the center, straight there. And then it's okay that these lines and angles aren't going to be perfectly straight. So let's see what it looks like if we straighten this, but actually, you know, actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep this one more stylized like that since we have this dashed across there. It's almost going to be angled there. There you go. Obviously, these are super stylized in the way they're shot and in everything about them. This was her idea to do this kind of silhouette when we were shooting on the staircase. You know, we just kind of get some traditional shots like these here, and then she's like, "What if you're down there? Shoot this way." And then when we were shooting them, really liked the way that light was coming in, the sunlight was coming in from the top, the entryway there. Oops, lost it. There we go. So we went with it and got those shots, which I think look really cool. Let me copy, paste. So for this, because the stairs are that way, it's obviously not straight on. It's not trying to be straight on. So that's why I'm going to go for something like this to be where I straighten this one in here. So that's straight. And then we know that that's obviously not, because it's not trying to be. It's not trying to be straight. Same with this, so I'm going to go for this one back here because it's next to the edge of the image. So, yep. All right, continuing on. This one probably go along here, except that's not exactly the same. This line is not the same as that line. Because there's that thing behind it, it's different. This, I think there's a junction there, or well, it's not a junction. I don't know what you call it. But you can tell the gap difference there. It's not the same. So trying to use this to align would not be straight. So again, I'm going to crop out the bright sun. Angle. And some of these we could try 4:5. Zoom in a little bit, a little more cropped in. And then keep some of them custom, and I do want to make sure to get some shots with the bottoms in there for the brands. Oops. Go this way. Copy and paste, and then angle change. Go. Copy, paste. Actually, this one. Let's do these. Let's do these. Do we want one? I want to. Since you can't see anything in the background, she's just up against a cement pillar. I'm not going to bother with the. Let's do 4:5. I'm not going to bother with the straightening part. You know, this part doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. On some of the shots it might, but just that little bit there. It doesn't bother me to see some of that sun. This, this we're going to crop in. Like that. Yeah. Better. Crop in here. Let me shift over a little bit. Just center her more in the frame there. And let's try maybe a 1-1. Yes, that's better. You know, it doesn't really, I mean, I was wondering if that was gonna bother me, but adding some of that, like the little shadow there, it doesn't bother me actually. You can't tell what it is. You know what it is. You know that that's my shadow. Holding the diffuser. And then that's probably actually the camera that I'm holding at the same time as the diffuser. Just a little peek. That's fine. Crop this in here. Here we go. Let's copy this just to get a little bit faster. Most of these are going to be the same, or pretty similar at least. Actually, you know what? Let's do something. Oops, I want to change the white balance. Let's do some 1-1 options. Just to change it up. Getting a little bit different. Just some different cropping. I mean, most of them be 4:5 to show the outfit for the client, of course. But not all of them, you know. Again, that's one reason why, you know, even if I've got a lot of shots that are pretty similar, so a lot of these are especially up against the cement, you know, pretty similar. Just changing up the cropping. Oops, R, not C. Just changing up the cropping on them, you know, to give some different options on it. Can be, always do it R, not C. Just changing the cropping can be a good way to make it look like a different image. I mean, there are different images, but make it look very different, you know. Let's do the angle here since we can see that better. Actually, maybe across. The reason I'm doing a cross there is because these, we could keystone that, but I'm not going to. And we could do some custom. Adjust the angle. This, since you only see one, I'm gonna straighten that way. Let me switch to custom. I think I'm gonna copy this afterwards to copy and paste the custom. That way I don't have to do that each time. So you can see as I paste this now, it kept my custom unlocked, so I don't have to, unlock it each time. And adjust the angle, straighten just a little bit. You're in the end here. It's a pretty... Let's copy that. Paste. We could do some 1-1s on these. Again, a lot of them are very similar, but, just change them up a little bit. There we go, from that. Ooh. That's straight there, but... Yeah, I don't like that. That's a little too much. Yeah, that seems more. So even though that's not straight, that just seems... It looks better in my mind. Copy, paste. Adjust the angle a little bit. So obviously you can see her shadow there. So I'm going to crop in on some of these just to get rid of that a little bit more and make it a little less obvious. And then some of them you can go a little further, a little closer. Again, just giving some different crop options. Croptions. Something in the foreground there. I remember what that was. Maybe that was because I was up against a cement. Oof. There we go. And near in the end, where are we at here? This is where we stopped. Okay. Oops. I want to copy this one. You can see how it's been edited, so we can see where we were at, other than just looking at the image, obviously. But you can see how Lightroom indicates that. It's a nice way of seeing what we've edited. Okay, so for this, I'm cropping out the legs, obviously. Cropping it out to where it's not obvious that it's a big circle there. I mean, you can still see it, but when you can't see all of it, it's kind of like what I was saying with the straight lines and like power lines and things like that. If you can't see all of it, then it's hard to tell that that's what that is. So, just something to keep in mind as you're cropping. You know, what is just looks like, you know, shadow in the background, which is what it is. It's my shadow in the background, but, and you know, as a photographer, you don't want to be in the shot. But because it's not person shaped, because of the diffuser, it makes it more difficult to tell. Plus you crop it off and you can't really tell that that's what that is. Straighten based on this is a pretty obvious place to straighten. Copy that. These are going to be pretty similar, I think. And just double check that angle. And almost done here. Let's do a custom on this. Go, just to get all of her in there. And then we might want to do custom on the rest of these too. Oops. Select the angle. There we go. And give a little bit more room for that kind of rule of thirds. Kind of breaking off the edge there. That's pretty straight. Actually, that's pretty good. Let's not so much headroom there. And then this, obviously this angle, so it's the same pillar, we just switched to the other side. Get a slight different look, so she was over here before. Go. This one, I'm going to a bit more to get her foot in there. Oh, let's double check that angle. That doesn't look straight at all, does it? Nope, it's because it wasn't. That's better. So let's copy that. Get the angle. And then the last one is this right here. Okay, there we go. So we've got all of them. So now it's just a matter of exporting. So right click, export. And let's put in a subfolder. This is our exports. Let's do JPEG long edge at 3000. Yep, so 3K. Okay. And set that to export. All right, so once that's done, that's the end of our project here. So we'll go ahead and wrap up this video, and then in the next video, I'll come back with retrospective, and it's just some things that we can improve on. There's always ways to improve, so we'll do that in our next video. See you there.